Good morning, everybody. Friday before Thanksgiving week. How are y'all doing? Good morning, Max, Chris, Rich, Corey, Benton, and Rico. Hope y'all are doing well today. Morning. So, we have 9:45 a.m. news and 10 a.m. news. These are going to be high-impact news drivers. All right, I have a minor buy-side liquidity marked up here. Price just reached right up into it at the open. Shot up there. My bias is I'm looking for a short, probably. We have some nice sell-side liquidity. This is my framework. I always look at what's most obvious, the closest to where price is now. All right, so right here, I'm looking at these relatively equal lows from here to here as a nice sell side liquidity. We have a little bit of minor sell side liquidity here. I'll go ahead and mark that for viewing purposes. Because I had that as a mental note, but I'll go ahead and mark it on my chart. But I want to see what happens with this fair value gap here. We have buy side. The reason why I marked this is in the way. The reason why I marked this as minor buy side is because this is just kind of like a high here in this 15-minute fair value gap, and it didn't reach up to this high. And then each one of these is going to be a minor buy side, but price is delivering pretty well up there, right? So it's like here is delivering well, and you can see it all this smoothness down here, and it was delivering nice to the long side, and then it dropped to take all this sell side liquidity. So there's not really, you do have liquidity up there, but the more obvious is down here because you have relatively equal lows. We have this 15-minute gap up here, this one up here. So I always mark where price could reach up to or below, and then I kind of wait. We're hovering at this as last month's high here. And let me go back to the 1 minute chart because I know we had an opening range gap. We opened down here and price immediately shot up and filled that gap. Right, so we had the opening range gap where price closed yesterday. And then right here, price opened. And immediately opened, immediately filled that gap. Let's see here. Yeah, there's no opening range gaps around that are unfilled. So if I'm looking for a short, right, I do prefer price to go long. However, we have that news, so it looks like, we got to keep in mind there very well could be, a lot of waiting until the news comes out. What am I looking for here? Marking out this 1 minute volume imbalance right here. What time was that? 6:50 a.m. So we had a nice displacement up. Or no, this is the 5 minute chart. Sorry. 5 minute volume imbalance right there. I want to note that. Okay. Have a little volume imbalance right here on the 1 minute just now, but price already came back through it. Good morning, Sharif. Good morning, Steve, Mary. Welcome. Here's going to be our first presented fair value gap right there. Now, I say A short was in my initial, initially that's what I'm looking for today. And so this is where I've talked to some people before, and you know, my opinion and my reads are constantly updating. I wouldn't say changing, but updating throughout my trading, right? Because I have a framework. I build a framework before I trade, and it's not always just this has to happen. Like, it's not going to be just, it's going to take one of these minor buy sides and it has to drop and on its way to this sell side liquidity here. That's the only thing I'm going to trade. That's not how I do it, because we know that, price could just keep going up and taking all these highs out. And that could happen. Even though I don't think that'll happen, I think we are going to take, we're going to draw to either one of these minor buy side liquidity areas into this 15-minute, or maybe even hit this 15-minute fair value gap, and then drop through this obvious sell side liquidity here to me. This is obvious. So if I and that's how I look at it. When I start the day, like this was yesterday, this big move, right? And we're inside yesterday's move. So that's wide, very wide. So I don't need to look at that right now, because more than likely my trade's going to be inside this, more than likely. So I zoom in now and I look from basically this side of the chart and to the right. And then if I want to really get technical, I'm looking at, basically that area. So the most obvious to me is going to be right here. That's going to be the most obvious area. And then if I look to the long side, I do see these highs where it delivered pretty well. The only thing that it has not done is rebalance this 15-minute gap completely, and then it hasn't came back up to this one. So that's why I say it could reach up to those before dropping, but I don't have to have it do that. This one is fine. This minor buy side is fine. This minor buy side is fine. But the key too, if it does start dropping, is what happens here. What happens right here? So that's kind of my framework for the morning. And that's what I do. I have that framework and I look for my trade based on that framework. And if I don't get it by around that 10:30, then it's it. My analysis is done. Like I frame it out. If I get it, great. If not, then that means either I was wrong or the market just wasn't cooperating. And that's it. And I don't want anything else. So it is 9:38. Again, we have that 9:45 news. Oh, you know what? My little news thing went away. Here we go. Let's move it back over here. There we go. Oh, where'd it go? Where are you? There you are. It's a nice reminder so I don't forget. We have news. Because sometimes I can get caught up in reading the market and forget there's actual news coming out. All right, so now we have our first presented fair value gap that we're trading back under. We have this fair value gap that's slightly above the first presented, but I still want to mark it because this may be a runaway gap, a breakaway gap is what you call it, where it doesn't touch it. It just continues down. If we trade back into this, this is not a fair value gap I'm looking to trade, though. I'm not looking to go short in this right here. The reason is because we don't have a market structure shift to the short side yet on this 1 minute chart. Good morning, Abel. Because if you look at the structure, we need it to take these lows first before we have a shift to the downside. Higher high, low. So this could be even a breaker to the long side. We have this high, lower low, higher high, reaching back down, not taking a lower low, and then it could continue up for a little bit. breakers are patterns that sometimes can be a little tricky because it's like, you know, where's your high and lows that you're looking at in your higher highs and lower lows? That could be a little tricky sometimes. So, like, I don't rely on those, but I do watch to see if I see any kind of breakers. Now, this fair value gap here, this inversion, this is working as an inversion at the moment. How it came up, inverted this big gap here, and is staying within it. Reached down into this candle, which could be an order block, but at the moment, like, I'm fine with it going up because I think the more obvious area is to the short side, and because of that, we could reach up and then news just slam it down. And if I go to the 5 minute, here's those areas I was showing. Here's our obvious sell side liquidity that I'm liking. And you could look and say, and this is see where I had minor buy side liquidity. When you drop to the 5 minute chart, you can see here's some relatively equal highs right here. Back here, not so much. This didn't quite reach up close enough. If it got closer and dropped, this would be pretty obvious, but that's why I have them marked as minor. And now we wait. And there it is, reaching up into that 15-minute gap that I mentioned. Right here. So we'll see how high it goes. So we have about 3 minutes. No, it's going to be 2 minutes now until the first batch of news. The 9:45 news is the higher impact than the 10 a.m., but they're both going to be high impact. See how I reached up into this 15-minute. Reached right up into that 15-minute fair value gap there. Took this minor buy side. That was the high from 2 days ago as well. And you can always see if you wonder what time frame chart I'm on, you can always see it up here. It'll be highlighted on the top left here. Right there. You'll see it highlighted blue to know what time frame in case if I forget to say the time frame I'm flipping to. So I keep a 5 minute and 15 minute on my other monitors so I can monitor, so I can watch them. But then, you know, for everybody watching, I flip on this main one. There's a lot of news next week for Thanksgiving. So normally I would just take Thanksgiving week off. You know, a lot of the institutions, big dogs go out, slow down on their trading. But there's a lot of news. So I don't know. We'll see. That 9:45 news just hit. You can already see if this bar closes up, we're going to have a big volume imbalance right there. See that between the two bodies? So inverted. Look at this fair value gap, how it left it and inverted it and used it right here. Bounced right off that minor buy side liquidity. It's pushing up. The 15-minute, I still have, some areas that it could push to. If this bar closes on the 15-minute, we'll get a volume imbalance there. Let's jump up to a 1-hour chart right quick. See, it's delivered pretty well. It's delivered pretty well to the long side. I just don't... I mean, we still have this volume imbalance from the daily chart, but I'm still not very convinced on a long. Look at this wick, though. I can already see this right here. If I measure this wick, look how perfectly came right up to the midpoint mean threshold. So this is the opening bar. All right, let me get rid of this news thing. It is going to get on my nerves. We have this 1-minute volume imbalance right here. We should see price trade right back through it. Yeah, we'll have one on the 5-minute as well, but we still have almost 3 minutes before this bar closes, so it may not. And that's the same levels for the 1-minute volume imbalance, so I'm pretty sure we're going to reach back down through it. We'll see. I like volume imbalance as targets, not so much for entries. So, like, for example, if we ran up and then we had a reason to stop and we get a nice, clean market structure shift to the short side and, like, price was way up, that would be a nice target for me. But I don't think we're going to run away. I just really don't. I think we're going to come down. Yeah, like I said, we just have that daily volume imbalance up there for me to wonder if price does continue up, where it would be going. This is the 15-minute. And then this, what I was going to say is if we get this fair value gap on the 15-minute, and still 11 minutes, but if we get it, this is the opening bar. This is the one I keep talking about, the opening bar fair value gap, where I hold like a 50-50 weight on it. So this one we did invert, this big one. It's an inversion now. So we'll see. We're still struggling here. We're reaching up, but we're still struggling in this area. And let's look at this wick right here. Got close to the midpoint of it. Let's look at this one, this high. Got close to the midpoint of it. Hit the volume imbalance. Let's see if it trades through it. There it goes. So how we pushed way up here This now, even though I have reasons for price to come down, and this, look, remember this 5-minute volume imbalance I marked? Remember I said I like volume imbalance as targets. So if we do get a short and it pushes down, I think it'll trade right through this 15-minute gap and hit this volume imbalance, and then kind of, take a breather or whatever, and then continue to sell side liquidity. This right here would be a Judas swing. I'm still not very good at those, but we have that 10 a.m. news as well, so we got to remember that. 8:18. It looks like we're going to be very volatile and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reduce my sizing again, because it looks like I'm going to have more than likely a larger stop than I normally like. And because of that, I reduce my sizing a little bit. It just sucks to have to click on and off so many times, but on my copier. Because see, if I get an entry here at 8:23 or somewhere, I mean, I'm going to need 30, 40 points stop. Like, I'm going to need a pretty large stop. So we have this. It's 9:52 now, the optimal time for me to take a trade. Or after that time. So even if I went short in this fair value gap. Here, let me erase this one. Even if I went short up in here, if it came up here. 24, I mean, I could be up here. Okay, 1 second. I'm just double checking my stuff, my copiers and stuff. But yeah, like let's say I got short up in this area. I could just target either this low or this 15-minute gap or this volume imbalance. Or if I got short anywhere in this area. Let me get rid of this. There's actually, this is now an inversion right here. Then we have this one. It's respecting. I want to see if it respects the lower half of this inversion. And I'm not, if it touches here, I'm not going to immediately go short because I need to see, because technically, well, we do have a shift, but it's not like, I want to see more than likely this swing taken here. Because we don't have this market structure shift on any other chart. We just have this drop on the 1 minute. Yeah, we have the news in 5 minutes. Yeah, see, I can pretty much eyeball equilibrium now. If you measure high, low, you have equilibrium right there of that leg. Whoa, I got 5 contracts there for that competition. I don't want that. So I'm going to see when it reaches up there, how does it react? And I'm not going to immediately short it. Let me get rid of this inversion. I want to see it rebalance this real quick before it reaches up. There you go. Because I don't want to see an open gap. We have a little volume imbalance right here. Little bitty volume imbalance. I'm just going to eyeball. So my belief is that we're going to dig up into here, and then the news is going to slam it down at 10 a.m. But news, you got to remember, could wicket. That's why you have to have a stop in the right place. Yeah. That was the short right there. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to give it a second. I want to see if we get this swing. Because if it creates this swing with this bar closing and creates a swing, we probably should not go back above that. But we got 30 seconds for this bar to close. I want to see if we get a swing created. And then I can go short if it respects the swing. So it did not respect that swing, and it's reaching up higher. Midpoint of the fair value gap. I'm looking at this wick right here. See how it's rebalancing this? I think news is going to slam it down, but let's see if we close this potential imbalance right here, or if it leaves it open. You had what too? I just see you said, Chris, you had that too. I don't know what. All right, back up into that volume imbalance. Oh, on the quantity size. Yeah. I just so happened to look and saw 5. I'm like, oh, crap. Because I've been, we've been swing trading that competition with 5 contracts. Got 10 seconds. I want to see if this remains open or not. I'm actually still in that trade. I've been in a trade since yesterday, midday, on that Ninja Trader competition because it's like a 25K account. Yeah, so, and I've been short. Yeah, I'm down. I'm also down like 10 grand on it. If we get that short, we'll be up really nice. All right, so now we have a swing down here that I'm looking at. These two areas. If we could take these two areas and displace lower, that's going to be really nice for the short that I'm looking for to run that minor, but to run down here. This is where I'm looking for it to run down to. We'll see if it happens. So we did get this imbalance right here. I want to keep watching that. We did invert, not yet. Haven't inverted this one. But we got news in 1 minute now. And that's also why, could be why, we had this drop. We're having some manipulation happening right before the news. Coming right back up into this. Let's go to the 15-minute real quick. Let me show you what I'm seeing here. Look at this bar right here. It's not even a bar yet. Because it's a very indecisive candle. Right? Reaching all the way down here, reaching all the way up. It's clearing a lot of stops in both directions right now. It's knocking a lot of people out of trades. So that way it can get ready to run here in less than 20 seconds. So I want to see. We're going to see. Here's news. There we go. Let's see if we go down like I'm suspecting. And again, it could do some manipulating first. But I suspect we're going to see it drop. Reached right through this fair value gap. Let me get rid of this one. It's in the way. I want to see this get inverted. And I want to see it trade below these lows here. And now what I'll be watching too on the 15 minutes since this bar closed. If you take this wick, look at this wick. You can barely see it, but this wick all the way down here, this whole area is just one wick. And the mean threshold is right above that minor buy sell liquidity that I had. Just the 1 minute chart again. Right here's the mean threshold of that wick. So if we take these lows and we displace through here, then we'll have a nice shift in market structure. Because right now it's like kind of messy. Like it's pretty ugly, right? Now, if I look at the 15 minute, I'd be looking at this right here as a bit of an accumulation. And I'd be looking at this as the manipulation up and then distribution down. That's what I'd be looking at the moment. So we'll see if it happens. With what? The manipulation, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, power of three? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. And there's different times like you can look at it. Because you could also look at this entire thing here as accumulation and look at this as manipulation and then distribute up. If you had reasons for price to go up, if your bias is up, is to the long side. Or you can look in smaller sections, right? So I'd be looking at this smaller section here as some accumulation right here. Potential manipulation here. And then distribution down here. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what me looking at the more immediate time frame versus higher time frame. So and then I just look for like things to line up, like I was saying yesterday. I just look for things to line up, and when they start lining up, then I'm like, okay, now you're showing your hand. You're becoming obvious. Here's the middle of that wick right here. If you could see this purple line, right here, 817. See how price is kind of, and actually there's an order block right here on the 1 minute after this, before this displacement. Doesn't really change my opinion on anything. I think we're going to go. We have this inversion and potential fair value gap here. Inversion. I like this. I really want to see it take these lows though first. If you took this swing, but I really want to see these lows taken. Bouncing right off the first presented fair value gap. 25. It's be like a 20, like almost 30 points if I shorted from here. I really would like to see it take these lows. We have a little volume imbalance right there. But with my conviction that we're going to run short, if we come back up into here, I probably will short it. We have a little fair value gap right here. This could mean something too. Okay, this if we get this one, because we still have 39 seconds, if we get something here, it could come right back up into here and drop. This is potential. This one hasn't formed yet. See how it took this little volume imbalance right here, wicked right through it. Little volume imbalance. Just double check my other charts real quick. Looking good. So we got this little one. I'm going to see what price does if it goes into it. Yeah, see it's... All right. Yeah, it didn't clear the lows. We do have a shift in... we got so close. I want to see it respect this inversion. And right here. We got so close. We got within like a tick. But I want to see if it respects this. I'm going to short it because we took this swing already here. It didn't take these lows. But I'm very convinced we're going to go short. So... we reached up. I mean, we got very close. Within, like, very close. I'm heading short. Because it may not come back up here. And I need to put my stop right up here. And then I'm going to reach for... order submitted. The low-hanging fruit would be this low, which, let me see. But this volume, we have this volume imbalance down here. Actually, I'm going to target right up here. 40, 50. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to target right up here in case if it goes right down to that 15-minute... fair value gap. Let's see if we take these lows now. We really need to take these lows. We created this swing, so we should not... I mean, we haven't taken these lows yet, but I don't think we reach back up here. It is holding above the first presented fair value gap at the moment. But we should displace, and when we do, it should go pretty hard. Because I like how we traded below that mean threshold of the 15-minute wick that I mentioned. So that was a reason also why I went ahead and hopped in. And even though we inverted this little fair value gap, I mean, it's still like it wicked back up in here. So we'll see. We should displace down. And I can tighten my stop a little bit here because we should not come back up here. Because I had about a 40-point stop, a little bit larger than what I like. So I want to see these lows get displaced through. There we go. It's trying. You do have to watch these wicks in all this area here in case if it rejects, but I don't see a reason why it doesn't go down further, even further. But like I said, I go for low-hanging fruit. So even if it does reach all the way down here, I'm fine with my trade, my target being here. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to break even plus some, just in case. All right, target hit. Just like that. And see what I said? Like, I could have kept my target right there where I had it. It would have nailed my target But, let me double check, make sure everything's closed. Get too busy talking here. Look at that, 12, almost 13 grand across all my accounts. Nice. Yeah, you see how it nailed it to the tick. But that's why I said I love volume imbalances as targets. I mean, they're golden. I'm telling you, I love them. I've noticed this so much. I still get, my palms are a little sweaty, even though I know we're probably, like, no matter what, it still happens a little bit. Like, I'm so confident in the trade, but I still go for the low-hanging fruit because my discipline has always been, it took 4 years for me to get my discipline straight, right? So, like, if, like, let's say I had my target here, and if price comes down here and starts pulling up, that's when I start saying, God dog it, man, I should have just put my target right here at the low-hanging fruit. If I would have done that, I would have taken my profit, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that's why I do that. The low-hanging fruit, 50 points or whatever I got on that is just, let's see, what did I get? It's just like perfect for me. And that's actually what got me to take in consistent payouts, is that low-hanging fruit. 812.50 minus 769.25. 43 and a quarter. I mean, man, you can make a lot consistently like that, right? So times 4, that's 173 ticks. Come on. I'm happy with that. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Exactly. Patience pays off. Yeah, 20 accounts. Yeah, I have 20 accounts. That's why you're seeing almost 13 grand there. 20 accounts. And that's roughly, well, it depends because I have the majority of my accounts are 150Ks, and I have, I think, 300Ks. Or 4. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. No, I have 4 300Ks, 3 250Ks, and the rest are all 150s. So that makes that 13 150s. So the 150s made about 500 each. The 300s made about 900. Yeah, and the 250s made about 700. But still, like, across 20 accounts, that just adds up. So patience pays. But you see what I mean? Like, whenever I frame out, like, that's what I'm doing. I frame out my my morning, right? And I just look for it to happen. Like, let's say this never happened and I never got this entry and it never dropped. And it just kind of kept going up. More than likely, I'm not going to get a trade if that happens. But most of the time it doesn't. Like, most of the time it happens what I frame out, because that's why I love ICT concepts, because, like I always say, like the man or hate the man, I don't care. It works. Why not go for all 300K accounts? Well, for a couple reasons. It's getting them to funded, right? So for me, the fastest, easiest accounts to get funded are the 150Ks. I love the drawdown on the 300Ks. Don't get me wrong. I trade them all ratio-wise pretty equivalent. That way, I do like the buffer, right, on all of them. That's why I like 150K and up, basically. Let me put it that way. I like everything 150K and up, because the 150K gives me 5 grand of drawdown, and I trade micros, so I have plenty of drawdown. On the 150Ks, I start off with 6 micros, right? So 6 micros. I usually risk around 120 ticks a trade. Like, that's about max where I want to be. So if I'm at 120 and I'm taking 6 micros, so that's what, $3, right? I'm risking about 360 per trade, right? 6 times 0.5. Yeah, I'm risking about 360 per trade. And if I have $5,000 of drawdown divided by 360, and I only take one trade a day, so I'm risking 360 a day. That gives me 13, 14 days in a row that I have to lose before I blow that account. And for me, based on the numbers and my stats that I have, my data, Like I've never, I've only one time lost 3 days in a row. So you got to think about it. If you don't lose that many days in a row, because you're going to have some wins, and even if you have ups and downs, you're going to last a long time. So yeah, the 300K, because you got to make 20 grand. Even if you like YOLO that thing and go 35 contracts, the drawdown's only 9 grand, right? So you're very likely to hit that 9 grand before you hit the 20 grand, just because the way the market fluctuates up and down, right? So that's why, because I was going for only 300Ks and I got 4 funded, but man, I lost a lot of them between however many I got and the 4 that got funded. But the 150Ks, man, I can get them funded like clockwork. So that's why. It's just faster, easier for me to get the 150Ks funded. And, you know, even though they're all $85 lifetimes, it's just that. So that was the longest probably answer to your question. Yeah, Pete, P the trader, the 25K and 50K, they do have a very small drawdown and they are easy to pass. And there's nothing wrong with those. But if I trade just the way I trade, if I on a live PA, not live PA, but you know, on a PA, if I have a 50K, I'm the max I'm trading is 3 micros, the max for a long time, maybe even 2. On a 25K, I'm definitely going 1 micro. It's just the way I trade. But on the upside, you see, I just made 170 something ticks. You know, where'd my calculator go? 170 ticks on that same 6 micros. That's $500. So if worst case, I'm risking 360, and average case, I'm making 500. And rarely do I have back-to-back losing days. I might have a loss and win, stuff like that. But over time, that balance is going to keep going up, right? Like, that's just the way the probabilities work when you put them in your favor. Yeah, Sharif, I agree. Sharif says it really does feel like this is the best thing to learn when it comes to ICT, or it comes to trading, is ICT. I agree. I mean, I know there's a lot of strategies that work, and most of them revolve around your discipline. But for me personally, I just read the market very, very well with ICT concepts. And that's what I recommend for you. Whether you're trading ICT, Sniper, or whatever system, whatever you feel like you can read the most, to me, that's the most important thing when it comes to strategy. Whatever way you feel the most comfortable with the market, the read, that's what you should trade. Because I have never felt so comfortable holding a trade for so long with any other system, because I don't know why. I might have targets in other systems, but I don't know the whys things are happening. Look how it nailed that target that I originally had and hasn't come back to it yet. And that's what I said. It could, I literally said that. It could nail this volume imbalance and then pull back up here and do a little bit of back and forth before it drops. It's exactly what it's doing. And it's not me. It's it's that these concepts work because it's literally the psychology of the market, of what people are thinking and doing in the market. And that's what I believe. So whatever, it's working. Yeah, 3 micros on 50K accounts. I'm right there with you, Steve. Yeah, I agree, Pete. That lifetime fee of $85, I mean, that's when I started loading up. This whole time that they've had $85 lifetime fee, I mean, I've been getting a payout, load up 3 or 4 more accounts. Payout, load up 3 or 4 more accounts. That was what I did from May until I think October is when I finally got my 20. Nice, Sharif. Yeah, and you'll gain the more you watch, the more, not just me, but the market, the more you can rely on your targets or your analysis and all that. You'll see them just working and working and working. It's like, all right. And that took me a little while too, right? I'm like, okay, I know I've seen this so many times and it happens over and over. Like, let me just be confident. And let the money management work for me. As long as you're good, and I will preach this until the day I die, as long as you're good with your money management and your discipline, you'll be just fine. You can take some losses. You can, you can hold for these trades. And I'm still working on trying to get better. This was the best target for me. If I would have held that, I mean, I would have made another 20 points. Yeah, I just, same thing. That's why I still take the low-hanging fruit. Could I have held to this minor sell side? Yeah. Could I hold to this sell side? Yeah. I still believe we're likely to get down there. But, it could be later in the day. It could be 11, 12. Give me my 50. As long as I make 50 points or more, let's go. I'm happy. Low-hanging fruit has got me 20 grand of payouts over the last couple months. Plain and simple. I have not had a problem with my payout with Apex because of the way I trade. You see, I take one, and there's nothing, like, I get it. I'm not saying if people get denied or are, I guess, against Apex rules, that doesn't mean they're doing something wrong. It's just not according to Apex rules, right? So if you look at my trade here, I take one trade, right? So there's no question. I have a defined stop and a defined target. So anywhere in there, my stop, and because of my money management, I'm never risking more than I can make. And that's what Apex wants. They don't want people risking more than 5 times what they can make, right? They don't want people, like, let's pretend I wanted to go long, right? And I had a target up somewhere, up here. And I went long here, and price is running against me. They don't want people that just lets price run against them, and then maybe add in a DCA and just say, man, I hope this gets up there. Like, that's just really not what they want. As long as you trade and you don't let price just run way against you, you'll be fine. And that's like what I do. So, and I guess I could say I have a little advantage because when I learned how to trade and I was trading the sniper system, Daryl used to preach that. So I kind of know, like, in his head what he expects from traders or wants from traders, because I was kind of taught from Daryl how to trade, right? With the Apex sniper system. And he always preached, take your profit at targets. Targets. You got to have a target. Just secure your profits, right? If price goes against a certain area that you're looking at, get out. It's not going to work. Just go ahead and cut your loss. So things like that. So I guess I have a little bit of advantage there because I was actually trained by him. So see, now it's reaching down. It could, take a little bit of time, but people risking $5,000 to make 400. Exactly. And I see that. Oh, here's another thing I want to clear up a little bit too. Okay. I know there's not a lot of people. Let me see. How many people are here right now? Hold on. Let me pull this up. Okay. 26 people right here. All 26 of you. When y'all go and y'all see people on YouTube, Facebook, making videos about Apex denied me. Look at my drawdown. Here's my wins. You don't see. I've only lost $1,000 and I've made around $1,000. I've called a few people out on this, and they'll post, look, here's my drawdown, and their drawdown looks good, right? It's within the rules. Drawdown is not the same as MAE. MAE is literally when you're in the trade, how far you let the trade run against you while you're in the trade with unrealized gains, right? So or losses, I mean, when the price is just running against you. Drawdown is going to show your overall drawdown for the day, or time period that they selected, because a lot of people, I've been seeing them select like a week time period. So all that's going to show is when you're flat. Drawdown is going to show when you're flat and how much price. Like, let's say I'm down for the week $1,000, right? And then I keep trading and I end up profitable for the week. Well, drawdown is just going to show that $1,000 I was down for the week. Like, that's all drawdown's going to show. It's not going to show how far price went against me in a trade. And I've been seeing a lot of people, and I really think it's just that they don't know. So they're showing that drawdown and saying Apex denied, but then they're not showing the trade MAE. Big difference. I just want to say that. Because every time I've asked them, hey, show your MAE or whatever, or do you know the difference? Like, I've been ghosted. And just because, you know, hey, it is what it is. I only, it's not that I promote Apex like all the time just to promote them, but it's because it's all I use. And I've always said this from day one that I've been on social media or anywhere. I only advertise or promote the things I use. If I don't use it, I'm not promoting it because I am here to be a trader. So, anyways. Rant over. Are the same people that are keeping moving their stop? Yeah, probably. You know, it's like, let me move my up. It shouldn't go below here. Up. Let me move my stop under here. And then look at this. That's if you follow ICT, that's retail logic, and this is kicking retail logic butt right here. Wham! Let's take you out. Oh, now you're short. Your stop's up here. Wham! Let's take you out, and then let's drop, baby. Anyways, all right, this was a fun stream. I'm gonna hop off here now. It's almost 10:30. Great day. What a way to end. This is how I like to end my weeks. And you know, I always say on Fridays, just don't do nothing stupid, because then you got to live with it over the weekend. All right, so I'm not gonna be here Monday. I'm not gonna be streaming Monday. I know that for sure. I'll see. And if you don't see an upcoming stream scheduled, worst case by 9 a.m., then that means I'm not streaming. But usually they'll be pending, like scheduled by the night before. So when you wake up in the morning, you'll definitely, or even the night before, see one scheduled if I'm streaming. So, but I won't be here Monday streaming. So, all right, I'm going to hop off, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. Have a good one. Take care.
Yeah.